forgot to answer a very important thing, or clarify a very important thing. These 144,000 sealed, well, who are they? Why do they have to go through the wrath? And why are they not taken in the rapture? Do you know it? What happened? Well, we know another story. In Matthew 25, Jesus was telling us a parable about the 10 virgins. And really, that's the only thing I can think about that this can answer our question, who these 144,000 sealed are. We know that there's 10 virgins in that parable. 5 had the Holy Spirit. Why do they have the Holy Spirit? Because they had the lamp and the oil. And oil is a symbolism for the Holy Spirit. So read the story first. Stop my video and read that story first if you're not familiar. So there's 5 virgins. And 5 claimed to be virgins. 5 claimed to belong to Jesus. But 5 didn't have the oil in the lamp. When then Jesus came to pick up his bride, 5 didn't have oil in the lamp, and they couldn't light the way because he came at night, in the middle of the night. And so they said, well, to those 5 that were wise, give us oil. And they said, no, we can't do that because then we don't have enough. You go and get your own oil, and then, hopefully you make it. So anyways, they went, and later on they came, and the door was closed, and they couldn't get in. And they said, Lord, Lord. And Jesus says, I don't even know you. So very tragic story. So these 5 foolish ones didn't have the oil, and that's why they didn't make it into the rapture, into this event when Jesus comes for his bride. Now, notice, Jesus didn't send his angels to pick up the bride. I'm sure you saw that, right? No, he came himself. The bridegroom is coming, they are screaming. Not the angels. The angels didn't come and pick up the bride. The bridegroom came. So many people are confused about that. They think that event in Matthew, 24:31, when the angels collect the elect, that is the bridegroom picking up his bride. No. The bride is not being picked up then. Somebody else that's being picked up, and maybe what I was talking about in the last video is helping us understand that those that were not picked up and now have to go through the wrath which is coming are those sealed people in Revelation 7. We know that they're going through the wrath of God. I made that very clear in my last video. Please watch it if you have not had a chance. So there is definitely a correlation. They didn't have the oil in the lamp. They didn't have the Holy Spirit. They, said, didn't we do this and that in your name? And we see that in Matthew 7. If you read Matthew 7, that's definitely belongs to the same event. But Jesus says, no, I don't know you. They call him Lord, Lord. No, Jesus says, I'm sorry. I don't know you. Why not? Because they didn't have the Holy Spirit. That's why he didn't open the door. That's why he said, well, I don't know you. Now what happens to the sealed? I think during the wrath of God, they will realize. So when they're standing in front of that door and the bride is gone, the fellow virgins are gone, maybe they're realizing, wait a minute, what have we done here? But nevertheless, they're going to go through the wrath of God. And they're the ones that will be confronted with taking the mark. And if they don't take the mark, their heads go off. They also will be absolutely hit by the plagues. Only one plague, I said in my last video, they will be spared from. Those scorpions or whatever they were. But everything else, they're going to have to be going through the wrath of God. Why? Because they're ungodly. They're considered, I don't know you. Jesus says, I don't know you. That means they're really ungodly. They have not proven that they can really follow Jesus. They followed their own goals, their own plans, maybe even false leaders. But they didn't have the Holy Spirit because they follow Jesus. They say, oh yeah, we're saved. Look, we're saved. We're virgins. But they were not really saved. Because they didn't follow Jesus, they didn't have the Holy Spirit. They were not transformed. They were not born again, really born again. No, just because you say you're born again doesn't mean you're born again, people. If you're following false teachers, no, you don't have the Holy Spirit and you are not born again. And when Jesus comes to pick up his bride, you don't have the Holy Spirit, you don't have the oil in the lamp. You're going to have to go and buy the oil. Of course, you can't do that, but anyways, it's just symbolic, and some of the parables they're kind of not 100% accurate, or don't explain everything 100%. But it's definitely accurate to say, no, they didn't make it into the rapture. The door was closed. Jesus came to pick up his bride. The door was closed. Where did they go? They went into heaven. They went into the New Jerusalem. The Jews call it the huppah, the bridal chamber, the chambers that Jesus prepared for the bride. The rooms that Jesus prepared for the bride in John 14. That's where they're going to go. That's when, in a twinkling of an eye, we will be changed, who we are, the ones that are left behind, of course, that are not dead by the time Jesus returns. We are being snatched out and changed. We'll have a new body because we're going to have to exist somewhere, who knows where, in heaven, in the New Jerusalem that's now being prepared in heaven. It's not prepared here in this dimension. It will come into this dimension when Jesus returns and we see him in the clouds, but not at first. When the day of the Lord starts, what happens first is Jesus will pick up his bride. He will take her to the huppah. Then the wrath of God will happen. Then after the wrath of God, he will show himself with his bride in the sky, in the clouds. Because he has to present himself with the bride when he comes. When he comes for all to see. And see, these 144,000 sealed, these foolish virgins, unfortunately have to go through the wrath. So what's going to happen to them? Are they ever going to get, rapture, taken out and put in the rooms that Jesus prepared in the New Jerusalem? No. That is who the angels, Matthew 24:31 picks up. Okay? Those are the elect that are being picked up by the angels For what? What for? Well, there has to be guests, right? In chapter Revelation 19, it says, blessed are the ones that are invited to the wedding supper. Well, the bride is not invited to the wedding supper. It is the sealed. The sealed who, during the wrath of God, still, have a change of heart and realize, wait a minute, we didn't make it. And now they decided, hey, we're going to live for Messiah. See, they then, even if they're beheaded, they will be resurrected. And we see that in Revelation 20. Revelation 20, you see the people, the bride sitting on the thrones. It can only be the bride that sits on the thrones. And they are now judging those that were beheaded for Jesus' sake. They did redeem themselves, right? Not very many will be left over, even though they're protected during that fifth trumpet. Most of them will die. Either, like I said, because they don't take the mark of the beast, or because of the plagues. The plagues will be so terrible. It will be almost an extinction event, what's going to happen. It'll be an extinction event like the flood. And many, many horrible things will happen. Maybe even including a pole shift. And most people will not survive. We see at the end of the wrath of God, the description that there was a huge earthquake, that all cities in this world will be destroyed. That's how big the earthquake is. And every island will move and every mountain will move. It's going to be catastrophic. So yeah, my cat needs to, of course, be part of the video. If you knew, please, this is Miss Kitty. And she's always here. So I wanted to just add that information because that information is extremely helpful too. Yeah, the bridegroom will come and pick up the bride before the wrath of God. There's no doubt. I've done very many videos. Again, you will see that in Revelation. If you look at Revelation 8 through 11, the wrath is described. Before that, in 7, the bride is in heaven. You see the same thing in chapter 14. The wrath is described in even 14, 15, and 16, and the bride is in heaven. And then at the end of the wrath of God, the bride is with Jesus in the clouds. Where do we see that? We don't see that in Matthew as much. We see that in Zechariah 14. Zechariah 14:5. When Jesus is in the clouds and his people will be with him. So yeah, this whole timeline about this dispensational timeline, if you even know what dispensation is absolutely wrong. If you think something is wrong with what I just told you, and also in my last video, please go back and watch my last video, because this is an addition to my last video. If that sounds new to you, please study the Bible. Read it over and over. I have to do the same thing. I read my Bible over and over. I don't think or assume I know it the first time. I read it, and I pray that the Holy Spirit will show me the truth. Because yes, I make mistakes. We're human beings. We make mistakes. I looked at this and I studied it, and it does not come from any commentary, people. It comes only from the Holy Spirit and from the Bible. I'm pulling things together, as you see. I'm pulling a lot of stuff together. The Holy Spirit has led me so many ways because I'm asking questions. Asking questions is important. And when you ask questions, the Holy Spirit knows that you want to know it from Him, not from somebody. You don't then go and read every book you can find on this topic, every commentary. No, go to the one Bible, only Bible. You read it, you pray, and you pray that the Holy Spirit will guide you to the places that are important. And that's what I do. That's how He shows me connections. That's what we need to understand. We cannot just interpret things, which I always say. No interpretation. If the Bible is not showing what something means, do not believe it. Okay? The Bible will show you. Okay? Just the way I showed it to you in this video and my last video and all the videos. There is a connection. But don't jump to the conclusion. Oh, right here, Jesus is appearing in the clouds and He sends out the angels to pick up what? His elect. So the elect must be the bride. So that must be when He appears the first time. No. That is at the end of the wrath of God. That is already, 3.5 years, at least 4 years into the day of the Lord. Because that will be after the wrath, and wrath may happen 4 years. Okay, and there's a reason why I say 4 years. But I'm not going to go into detail. If you want to know why, I can make a video about that. Just ask me. Okay, don't be afraid. These questions are all important. All of them. Very, very much. The only time I jump on people is when they are attacking me. Not when they ask questions. Questions are extremely important, and there's nothing wrong. Questions are helpful for me because I will, if I don't know the answer, I will look it up. I will read the Bible. Again, if people attack me, that's a different story. If they falsely accuse me, that's a different story. Then, yeah, I'm almost like I'm like an attack dog too. Well, I'm not an attack dog. I'm then defending myself. I definitely will defend myself. Somebody attacks me. Anyways, I'm coming to an end. This will be a short video. I just wanted to add it. I just wanted to add that information. Okay? I think that's an important information. Let me know if you have more questions, and let the Holy Spirit always guide you.